So Ernie Irvan here today. What do you got? Where you been? What have you been up to?
I'm living in Ocala, Florida now, and just my wife is and my daughter are real big into horses, and Ocala is kind of the mecca center of horse showing and things, and so there's also racing down there. So we're up here this week to run the Easter Bunny race, the Pass super late model race here at Hickory. And then we're going to go back home and try to figure out what's the next projects. But, most of the time it's, my wife's cleaning stalls, doing all the horse stuff, and I try to figure out how not to get around there.
So you have a horse, you have a farm, everything at your house?
Yeah,
right
we have 10 stalls, and we have around 12 horses, and then we have 12 dogs.
Oh my God.
Pretty peaceful life.
And do you own race cars still, or
I still have one race car.
Just a pass car?
Yeah, that's why we're broke most all the time.
Yeah.
Horses and race cars.
Yeah.
Two most expensive sports. I have them.
Yeah,
What everyone always tells me about, usually racing and horses go hand in hand. I don't know why, but they said you can park a race car. The horses keep on eating. Don't matter what's going on. So
clean their stall. You got to do all the time. I tell my wife that all the time, but she doesn't quite because she's into the horse part. Yeah. I'm into the race car part. So obviously the race car part is always going to take the back door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay.
I've learned that getting married here in the last couple of years.
Got to back it back down a little bit.
But it's also what has afforded you the opportunity to do this stuff. So they understand that too. But now that the career's over, it's on to something else.
Yeah, they're like, okay, when's the last time you got a paycheck?
Oh man, yeah.
I really don't bring up when the last time she's got a paycheck. But I mean, we both, it's taken both of us to do what we've done.
Yeah.
And sometimes we've done things right, and a lot of times we've done things wrong.
Yeah, that's we're learning that right now.
Yeah,
Greg needs to get married here.
Yeah, I'm not married.
Greg's got it. He's way out on his coverage, and he's not married yet.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you some advice later.
Okay.
when we're not on air.
Okay. It's that good. It's got to be later.
It's the best.
Okay.
It's the best. It's words to live by.
She doesn't listen to this anyway, so she wouldn't even hear it.
Yeah, I know, but I can't say it.
Okay, done.
Yeah. So Jared's racing at Hickory this weekend.
Yep.
Have you guys been running a lot, or?
We ran Richmond a couple weekends ago.
Seemed like a cool show.
Yeah, it was a really cool show. Run second, lap and a half from winning it because we were running second, and so we got passed with about a lap and a half to go, and so we got back to third. The guy that won got disqualified for an illegal carburetor or spacer or something. So it's like we were that close to winning, but it was a good run. We didn't put a scratch in the car, and those are things, especially because now you're a car owner kind of deal too. So it's like, hey, now we just had to clean it up and get everything switched over to this race. This is the way racing's supposed to be.
Especially if you only have one car. That's a nice feeling when you leave the track with the fenders still on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a scratch in it. It's like, now if you we'd wrecked at Richmond, we probably would have been junking it, just because it's so fast.
You've been riding horses all week, right?
No.
So you keep everything in Ocala still, or you got it based here?
I have a shop up here that I've had all the time at my Irvin Smith.
Yep.
So I have the shop in the back there, and then I end up having most all the stuff down in Ocala now.
Yeah.
So that way I have it right there at the house.
So you were talking about how when Jared got started in racing with Blaney and those guys coming up.
Yeah.
But we were reading up about you and how you got started through go-karts in California and kind of the way that you made it here, made it this way from out west. And man, I know that everybody's seen what you're able to do in the 4-car and the 28 and kind of what was in the limelight, but it was just such a different time. In the 80s and the 90s of the sport, and reading how you went from, there's just so much when you read it, but what was your venture like from California? Because there was no clear path back then, right?
As far as I was looking at, it's I paid attention to the cup stuff, but man, it was like so far fetched. I would thought I'd ever do that. So I was more, doing short track racing, and so it's like, okay, well, my dad had told me, he said, if you want to do anything in racing, got to be on the East Coast. Okay, well, so I loaded up everything I had, which was about $800 and not a whole lot. Put it in the back of a small Dodge pickup truck, like the small Dodge, and just loaded up and drove back here, and just it's like, okay, well, what do I do now? And Dad knew a lot of people and things, and so me and Dad started racing our own dirt car. We had built it and stuff, and raced our own dirt car, and then Mark Reno, which I knew from the West Coast, and so me and him kind of got together and started doing some racing together, and because Mark was, he's one of them that can build anything, and it's going to be fast, and so I started racing with Mark, kind of took some pressure off Dad, trying to keep motors on there and all that stuff. But so me and Mark started running, and we started running really good, and so really had never really looked at a lot more on the cup stuff, just because it's like, whenever you're good at one thing, you want to be able to concentrate on it instead of trying to spread yourself so thin that you're not good at anything. So we were doing everything we could there, and Mark had this ambition that he's wanted to be a cup owner, and so Mark just all of a sudden walked in one day and said, "Hey, we're gonna turn this car we're gonna build this car and make it into a cup car." Do what? He said, "Yep, yeah, we're gonna do that." I said, "Well, okay, well, so who's gonna drive?" He says, "Well, you're gonna drive it, but you're gonna help work on it the whole time." So okay, so we did all that, and then it's like, okay, well, who are we gonna get? How are we gonna get any money for this thing? Mark says, "I don't know." He said, "What we got to do is we just got to like put our heads together and try to maybe come up with something, and sure enough, it just something happened. We were doing some side work for Ken Schrader. We also did some side work for Dale Earnhardt and things, and so Schrader was sitting there, and he says, "Man, you know what you guys need to do is you need to get Earnhardt to sponsor this thing, put Earnhardt Chevrolet on the side of the car, and then because in that way you'll be able to go racing. You have a sponsor, make a little money, hopefully be able to pay tires and all that stuff." I said, "Well, okay, well, who's going to pop this up to Earnhardt?" He said, "I'm going to Darlington with him tomorrow. By the time I get back the next day, we'll have a deal." And this is Ken Schrader doing the negotiation. So,
He's a pretty good talker. By the way.
he's a really
Yeah.
good talker, and I think it's kind of weird because then he comes back, said, "Okay, guys, I got a deal." So the first thing you want to know is, okay, how much does it pay? How much money is we going to get? And we've all known Dale Earnhardt, and so they said that Schrader said, he said, "Okay," he said, "Earnhardt's not giving you any money." We're like, "Well, now how's that going to work?" Now Mark was kind of quiet and didn't say nothing, and I said, "Well, how's that going to work? No money?" He said, "Yep." He's going to give you credibility and put his name on the side of your car, and you're going to get instant exposure. And you go out and do good, you're going to give you credibility. You go out and do bad, it's not going to be good.
Huh.
So it's like, I said, "Well, Mark, what do you think?" He says, "We're going anyway."
Yeah.
So, it's great. So, sure enough, we did it, and it's kind of history. And people look at it, and it's like, that was the smartest thing you guys ever did.
That's crazy.
Well, it just so happened that it was the smartest thing we ever did. We didn't plan it that way, and that's the best things that happen. You don't really have a real good plan, but you kind of like ad lib it and say, "Okay, well, if this happens, we'll do this," and and then I went out and at those times, you could go out and run decent, and one of the other teams may say, "Hey, this guy, I mean, maybe I can get him to qualify my car or whatever," and that's just what happened. We were going to run 5 races, but we ran the first one at Richmond, and then we weren't going to run for another 4, 5, 6 weeks. And so DK Ulrich come up and said, "Hey, so I need somebody to qualify my car, and be able to get it into the race. You did that with this car," and he said, "I think you would be good." So sure enough, I took the deal with DK, which also helped with Mark's deal because we didn't have enough money to go racing very many times, and so it's like, okay, so then DK has a number because he normally has run, so we were running DK's number. So if we needed a provisional, we would have been able to get a provisional. So we ran DK's car at, I think, North Wilkesboro and Martinsville, I think. And then we ended up running the Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet car, and which was Mark's car, at Riverside. So we ran there with that in the road course. And then the one race at the end, we ran the Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet car at Charlotte, and we run 8th. So
And that's almost what turned your whole career around, that race. It looked
Well-
like that's what, because you led a bunch of laps.
well, I don't know about letting, but
I think it says you led.
sounds good.
Yeah,
It
but,
sounds-
but
Yeah,
but
oh,
you
yeah,
run,
I led-
but you
I led
run
like
up
a
front.
lot. Yeah,
You run up front.
I think
so.
I led 100 or so. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
telling you.
Half
That
of it.
unless these stats are wrong, I'm reading.
Yeah, I think you're wrong, but it's fine. It's
I'm
right.
I'm good with it. But Mark Reno, for people that don't know, was in current times, when Brad Keselowski won in Finch's car.
Yep.
He was pretty much the guy that took care of all of Finch's operation until
Yep.
he retired and builds hot rods now. But
Yep.
but for those in it, like those that watch the sport now and don't see who Mark Reno is, he had a big hand in a lot of that stuff.
Mark Raynham was the crew chief when I won at Michigan. Mark was crew chief for there with Robert's
Yeah.
car. Yeah. So me and Mark go back a long ways, and I still always call him and go look at what he's doing. He's got another project there. He's one of them that can take a whole pile of stuff and then turn it into something. It's like, wow, how'd you figure that out?
Yeah, he's a very talented guy
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. When you were hanging out with Ken Schrader, when you first moved out here, was he running dirt stuff back then, or just kind of how you guys met, or how'd that come about?
Schrader, he was drinking beer mostly.
Oh yeah, so he was just drinking buddy. Yeah, he still does that. That's all I've ever.
He
met
still
him.
does?
Yeah, it's weird, huh?
Oh, I didn't know he stopped.
He climbs out of that dirt
yeah.
car and.
But yeah, I mean, Schrader basically when he had moved down here, I think he had moved down before I did, but he was still doing some different stuff and needed somebody to help move something. So Ernie will do it.
Yeah.
Well, so I jump over and help him move furniture or whatever it is, and so we kind of and he was always around Mark Reno's. Him and Mark were friends, and so we kind of all just intermingled, and it just ended up that Schrader and me and him turned into buddies, and nobody ever really thought I would ever be racing against Schrader or Earnhardt.
Yeah.
But it just so happened that I was fortunate to do it.
That's crazy. Yeah, stuff still happens like that in this town. I feel like that's how a lot of people make a name. They just they find the right people to get with, and you don't know what's gonna happen.
You really don't. I mean, it's it's got a lot tougher now because it takes so much money to do anything.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times it's just like when Harvick was sleeping on somebody's couch.
Yeah, Hornadays, right?
Hornaday's couch, and ends up, but
yeah, I feel like
I
that
think
doesn't
those
happen as
days
much.
are a lot further and further around.
It's a lot tougher of a circumstance now because the infrastructure has changed, right? And if you give a racer a set of rules in any matter of time, NASCAR that's taken, it went through the 90s and the 2000s, and we pretty much ruined it in the mid 2000s, and now it's a pretty structured deal with hundreds of employees, like where you went, after you drove and did all that stuff for DK and all that, and you went to Junie Dunleavy, who was around forever, and then you went to the 4-car, who was based in, and then 92, 93 comes around. It's like those opportunities Or so much harder because the first question is now how much money you have.
Yeah.
Which is I'm sure you fight that battle with Jared,
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's the reason we don't raise much.
Yeah. And it's almost when you could take a car with Reno and come in and say, hey, this is going to be a Cup car now.
Yeah.
And now it's just the sport's gotten into a place where
You have to have a lot of money to even do what we did. Say, okay, man, we're gonna make this into a Cup car.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, where's your $600,000 it's gonna take to do all this?
Yeah.
You know.
No big deal.
Before you even get to the track, and then the thing that I always wondered and that I didn't know about. So it was you and Mark, right, that built
Yeah.
that car, but you still had to go to the track, had to have people to work on it, had to have people to do pit stops and stuff. Now you didn't have any full time. Did you have any full time help, or was that all? How did you get
me and
along
Mark.
with that?
Well,
With pit crew guys and
Yeah,
people
we-
working at the track.
you know, Mark knew everybody,
Yeah.
and so it's just like, okay, well, we kind of got a bunch of people around. We didn't have no pit stop practice or nothing.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, can you change tires? I think so.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's how it used to be. And so then when we made the one down in Charlotte, we made the race. We didn't have enough tires to run the race, but then people started seeing we were running good. Then it's like, hey, you know, I mean, what about you guys need some tires? Because they were out of the race already. I said, you just take them, man.
Yeah.
Just do your best. So, and then it's like, oh, you know, do we need somebody to help them change tires? Well, they end up finding somebody to do that, and you know, it's just because people want to see people succeed. In those days, it was more people really wanted to see something like that happen. You know, it's like, wow, man, that's awesome. You know,
Yeah.
and then they like to be a part of it. It's like, hey, man, I helped you get in some tires and all that stuff. But nowadays, it's just so much different. It's the same, but it's different.
Yeah.
Well, if you were to start a team nowadays, what you would do if you needed a pit crew is you'd call Hendrick or Penske or
Yeah.
somebody and say,
Yeah.
hey, we need your development guys, and they'd
Yep.
put, or one of the pit schools here, they'd put your team together and they'd show up, and it would just be X amount, and then
Yeah.
these people would be there on Sunday.
Yep.
So that's where, but you also don't gain the personal relationships.
No, you don't even know 'em.
No, and it's in and out. So that's what is in a weird spot for us.
it got like that when I was the last times I was driving for M&M Mars, which was MB2.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, they had pit crew that just come in.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to know some of them, but the majority of the time you didn't get to know them.
Yeah.
Because you never saw them in the garage area or nothing.
My goal.
They were just there.
Yeah, and that was tough for me to grasp when I first moved here, because I was like you. I was a racer in New Jersey, and I was like, I'm going to move to Charlotte because I want to work in racing. So when I started at Roush at 19, I said, I want to be a car chief and a tire changer. There was a guy named Todd Ziegler there. He's a shop foreman at Storehouse now. But like, I want to be like him. And then there was a point in time when they came to me and said, you have to pick one. You can't do both.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, because you have to put so much training and stuff now into pit crew stuff that you don't
Yeah.
have the time to be a car chief. You have to be so locked in,
Yeah.
and there's so many meetings when you're a car chief, and then it's not like it was.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
But man, one thing that's always interested me is the 92 is the 28 car,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like in that group of guys,
Mm-hmm.
because you know that was a special group of guys,
Yep.
Larry Mack and Joey Knuckles and all those guys that were there with
Yep.
Davey, and you watch the documentaries on 92 and all the stuff that happened in 92, going to Atlanta,
Yeah.
losing the championship the way they did, and then 93, obviously what happened with Davey, losing Davey, and then
Mm-hmm.
you were running good in the 4 car, and then that opportunity comes about and you get in that car, and I just always wondered what it was like to be part of that team at the time. Really, the number one contender to Earnhardt, you got, the
Yeah.
2018 was, and then in 94 with you with an opportunity to win a championship, really chasing a championship, and then getting hurt at Michigan. I just always think about how good of a guy Doug is, and how awesome that team was, and just how being part of this deal and being part of a team and being there for 38 weeks and working hard, how heartbreaking that had to be for everybody those couple years in a row. And I just always wondered, one, what it was like to just be part of that team and get thrown in a car that could win a championship and then work with them, and then just what the heartbreak was like there those couple years.
I mean, I would say it was probably as hard or harder for the guys.
Yeah.
Because they're, and it's like because me and Davey were rivals, So it's like, when they popped up and said, "Hey, we're gonna get Ernie Irvan to drive this car," I'm sure probably some of them said, "What?
Yeah.
No, no, we don't want him. He's the guy that cost us the championship in '94 or no '92. Guys, had a flat and spun, and Davey ended up running into me. So it's just it's a shame about all of it, but things happen, and so it's like I'm sure some of the guys thought that, and some of the guys thought different, and I mean I know that Larry Mack. I mean I've known him for a long time, and before that I knew him. So that was the reason was because Ford Motor Company looked at what their rosters are that they can get and who they can maybe get. Well, they looked at it's like, okay, the 4-car runs really pretty good. So if we can eliminate the 4-car and then put part of that into the 28 car, now all of a sudden, we hurt part of one of the teams, and you're not doing it like this, but they're saying, okay, well, if I get the guy for the 4-car that was driving, put him over here in the 28 car, okay, they're going to have to replace somebody with the 4-car, so it's like, okay, well, we can get the best of all we can get, because we don't have Davey anymore. So let's just we'll put Ernie in the thing, and that's going to take away some of our challenges with the 4-car, and then put in the 28 car.
Yeah.
So I mean I kind of think that's kind of how they were thinking, but it was basically a lot Ford Motor Company had talked to Robert, and and Robert and Doug and all them in Texaco. They come up with that.
Easy enough. How was Larry Mack to work with there?
He was good.
Got a good
Yeah.
Larry Mack story? We just had Brandon on, his son, a couple weeks ago, and
Yeah.
he said you need to ask Ernie if you got any good dad stories.
Larry's hair is thinning a little bit, right?
Little
Oh
bit.
boy.
Now,
I think it might have something to do with me.
yeah,
Some from racing and stuff like that, and some because Larry always he's always so serious,
very.
and yeah, and so it's like Larry, you need to loosen up. He said one day, he said, we're going to test down in Talladega, and so it's like, okay, well, it started raining. So okay, so what do we do now, Larry? He says, well, we're gonna go back to the room. We're gonna watch the Braves, eat some pizza, and smoke a cigar. And I went, first of all, I don't know anything about the Braves. Do not smoke cigars. And I do eat pizza. He said, well, he says, I am living an exciting life. He said, when my Braves are on, don't mess with me. So we were sitting there, and so Larry's watching the Braves, and he's got the Weather Channel going too at the same time. And so I ended up taking a piece of duct tape. So I'm thinking, it'd be pretty cool. I just pop that thing on Larry's head, And the worst thing is Larry's got really, really, really thin hair, like really thin. So duct tape, when it sticks to thin hair, yeah. So that wasn't
Oof.
he didn't like that one.
Yeah. How'd the rest of the test go that weekend? Pretty well.
Yeah, because Larry was still trying to get stuff out of there.
But yeah, that team. So I don't know if you've seen. You were there for all the One Hot Night and all that documentaries
Yep,
came out. And
yep.
that's really for someone like me that was just a kid at that time, didn't really understand it. Go back and watch that stuff to see what that team was like at that time.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever bring up to you what happened in '92 when you went to drive over there? Nobody ever brought anything up, or
Not one time.
that's
Yeah. I mean, again, they're professionals, and I mean, it's how would you be able to do that on purpose?
No.
I mean,
Every time that I've
and,
talked to
it's
Larry
just a
Mack
shame.
about it,
Yeah.
he's blamed himself because he said instead of going to win the race, they just drove around
Yeah.
and tried to be safe.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's how I know when I've talked to him. That's how
Yeah.
he's approached it.
Yeah.
But man, that car and that era, and then you coming back. Another thing that I read, you got hurt at Michigan, and then to come back and your last win to be at Michigan.
Yep.
And how that, and then to get hurt at Michigan again.
Yeah.
It's just like,
how's all that work? Same date.
Oh
my
wow, I didn't know
gosh.
that.
Same
Was it the
date.
same corner?
Nope.
Okay.
Different.
Yeah.
Same. Something different. Yeah. August 20th, 94, and August 20th, 99.
Was Michigan one of the first tracks that was as fast as that, and you still had to lift? Like, because at Daytona and Talladega, you know, you're in the draft, but
Yeah.
Michigan, you're really Daytona and Talladega. If you wreck, it is, you know, it's a super speed
Yeah.
wreck. But at Michigan, it's like you are on the ragged edge, but you're still having to lift, and then
Yeah.
there's still big
Yeah.
time room for error.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, you know, and the thing is the cars weren't as safe as they are now. The cars weren't. They're faster now, but they're a lot safer now. There's so many things that they've come up with. The head and neck restraint. All those things have pertained into making the cars race faster and safer, and making the drivers be able to, you know, stretch the envelope even further, and you know, to what they can do. Plus all the downforce on the cars, the different aero stuff has all changed. You know, obviously you have to you have to account for all that.
Yeah.
But in those days, it's like, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, we lowered the car down, so man, I think we're really good.
Yeah.
You know, but we really didn't. I mean, again, and I'm not the driver. I was the driver. I wasn't a mechanic, so I didn't know exactly all of it. But it's like, it's amazing. The car went faster. All we did was lower it down a quarter inch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, wow, that's cool.
Now they type it in a computer and it tells you what it's going to do. It'll
Yeah.
be 10% tighter if you do this. Like, okay. But
Hey,
Yeah.
So I read something the other day when you were coming back after this accident. Did you sneak into a race car to test it somewhere? Is that a deal? Maybe not.
you're not going to get in trouble now. Daryl's not going to tell anybody.
Who told you that?
I read it in a Spark Notes of a book somebody read.
Oh, so somebody must have
Yeah.
already said it. Huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we were down. It was like, I mean, I was like gung ho when I get back to racing, you know, and so we were at the banquet when I had accepted my hard charger award and all that stuff, and it's like, so I mean, I'm chomping at the bit. I can't really do nothing, but they're telling me, and so Robert and Lee Morris, which was one of the main guys at Ford, so we said, okay, here's the deal. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have to make a plan, make a schedules, and you pass each part of it, then you know it's the next step to the next, get in the cup car. You know, yeah, you're right. You know, and all that. So we go down to Daytona to test, which I'm not testing. DJ's testing. So we're like, oh, okay, well, we're going to go down there and test. So they said, well, why don't you come by with us? So that way, you know, people know you're still here. And, you know, I said, yeah, that'd be great. So I went down there, and so I mean, I'm chomping at the bit. I'm saying, man, Larry, I just got to get into the car and just go around the racetrack. I won't go fast. I mean, I might want to do it. He says, there's no way we can do that. And I says, you know, and so him and Robert had talked, and so then they said, I think we got a plan. So DJ comes in, gets out of the car, helmet on and everything, goes into the truck. So Norman Kimachishi, or he was the gas man.
Mm-hmm.
He was a little round and, you know, a little shorter than me, but his uniform is big enough that it probably fit. So it's like, okay, so I got in Norman's uniform, and I had to have my own helmet, and so got in it, come out of the truck, and this is like 30 minutes later, uniform on, everything, right in, got in the car, you know, and so strapped up, did all it, so went back out on the racetrack, so lined up on the start-finish line, kind of where you always take off at Daytona, and Larry kept saying, he says, okay, Just make sure that you get all your shifting points on, because they were having to make sure that they didn't know that it was me in there.
Oh.
So they were trying to act like it was DJ in there,
Mm.
So they couldn't say much because
Oh, yeah.
people would hear it. So we said, okay, well, now take it easy. Can we make some changes? And so I did what I normally do. You just take off like wide open, because it's like that's how I knew how to do it. I didn't know how to do it, but that's how I remember. So took off. I mean, never lifted. Just, all the way through 1 and 2, 3 and 4, all the way back to the start finish line, and then, started a lap. I'm up on the high side, like I'm making a qualifying run.
Yeah.
Larry Mack is like, he can't say nothing. And he's
Yeah.
just like, oh man, he says, this is the stupidest thing we ever did. It's like, there's no way, oh gosh, I can't believe we did this. Well, end up getting, stop after the third lap. He's like, okay, you made 3. That was real good. He says, come on in, let's just talk about it. So I mean, they're still having to
Yeah.
play the role deal. And so I come in, park, get out of the car, helmet on and everything, walk right into the truck. And it was like, I mean, we were all like, everybody was like almost crying. Because, I mean, I was so unbelievable happy because I was able to do that.
Yeah.
And Larry and them was crying because they couldn't believe they did that. Robert was kind of the same way. He was like, oh, man, I can't believe it. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
And, because the only reason that NASCAR even let me get back in a race car, they didn't know about that one. But
Yeah. You started
Yeah.
off, and did
They
you go back
still
to?
won't.
You ran some truck races.
I
to
ran
start?
a test. I was at Martinsville. And so
Yeah.
Robert's got a lot of credibility. Robert Yates does.
Yes.
So NASCAR, we were going to have a test in Martinsville. So nobody from NASCAR was there, but they confronted Robert and said, hey, okay, let me know what you think. So, and Robert's calling her, so, but they knew Robert would be honest. And so Robert watched, and I ran at Martinsville and ran really respectful. And so when we got all done, Robert told NASCAR, he said, if I didn't see him get in the car and have an eye patch on and go out there on the racetrack and see it and never have thought he'd ever not run in Martinsville the week before, I mean, I would never even knew that he had ever missed a day.
Really?
He said, I'm just saying that from what
Yeah.
he's saying.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, and and it's so the NASCAR said, okay, well, that's we'll let you run, and that was what the incentive was to be, is to be able to get okays to race again. And so if it wasn't for Robert and Robert's credibility, it would have never probably happened. I would have probably still been trying to do it.
Now the eye patch. Did you race with that on? Like, did you lose sight in your right eye? Is that why you wore the eye patch?
My left eye.
Or your left
Yeah,
eye? Okay,
yeah.
so you lost
Yeah.
sight there.
Well, I had muscle surgery because the problem is my left eye wouldn't move as much as the right eye,
Okay.
and then I also lost about 60% of the vision. I mean, it's blurry and not as good. So, but because it wouldn't move with the right eye, then I had double vision all the time.
Hmm.
So then, like right now when I'm looking at you, I'm getting double vision, but my right eye takes over, my left eye just kind of ignores it, which if I start talking about it, I can see it,
Yeah.
But so when we did the muscle surgery, it was all to try to get the eyes connected back together. Well, you don't really connect them together. They had to do muscle surgery to get the thing to maneuver the right something, trying to get it to move. Well, but they still had to wait for it to heal far enough. Well, I was still it was going to be another 6 months before the healing would be able to be all the way done, and then that way maybe the muscle surgery would have helped. So we did it with an eye patch on, and I raced 3 races with the eye patch on, and I always give Schrader a bad time about this, because I think I ran 5th or 6th the first time out with an eye patch on in North Wilkesboro. Outrun my buddy Schrader.
I would give him
Yeah.
a hard time for it too.
Well, because he does me too.
Yeah. Is it was it any depth perception or anything off then? Like you're just fine. Obviously you ran fast, so it don't really matter, huh?
I mean, I think if I hadn't have known and remembered everything about North Wilkesboro,
Mm-hmm.
everything about driving a race car, everything about being in traffic, I'd have never been able to do it.
Yeah.
That was my next question is after that, what was there? I'm sure everybody else was nervous that if you
Well, I
remember,
imagine they were.
but was there anything that you had to relearn as far as racing wise? What did it do to your memory after a major head injury like that?
See, I never forgot anything about. I mean, maybe I forgot it. I didn't remember it, but it just didn't seem like I really forgot anything about any of that. But again, being able to be in traffic and all that stuff, and yeah, your depth perception plays an effect. But I mean, it's like I've never been known not to bump into somebody if you have to. But
Yeah.
I mean, and it was like, you're there, you're racing hard. Can you really see that you're an inch from that wall?
No.
I mean, you just have to do things by feel.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not going up and hitting the guy, but you can sense when you're close to the wall. You can sense when you're close to the guy, and things like that. And after my second injury, in August in '99, I wouldn't have been able to do it because I even played racquetball with an eye patch on.
Really?
And you're not supposed to be able to do that.
Mm.
And for some reason, it was just like I would completely eliminate that I had an eye patch on or anything. I could still play racquetball. I could still do all that stuff. Never trip on stairs. Nothing. Now, I can't hit a golf ball. Can't hit a racquetball because it's a depth perception. I never had a depth perception problem, even with an eye patch on. So I don't understand what had changed in the second wreck, but some of the doctors say it's because your body can only compensate so much, and it was obviously compensating a lot after the first one, and now there's more problems, so it can only compensate so much. So I'm just taking that and just living with it.
Yeah.
That's what I did too. Yeah. Yeah.
So recently, there's been a lot of talk on the new package that they're going to come out with for 2021. The NASCAR's working on. They're kind of reconfigure the whole car, and I know that you might not be up to speed on everything they're doing,
I'm not, no.
but you're a guy that has kind of forged his own way, and you were, as you talked about before, in a position where you could come here and go to the racetrack just built off hard work and building your own car, and with Irvan Smith and everything, you understand the manufacturing side and business side of the sport.
Yeah.
What do you think to make it more friendly for they're talking about motor packages and different types of chassis and independent rear suspension and stuff like that to get other manufacturers more interested to coming into the sport? If they gave you the reins to say, we want you to pick something to make this sport more easy for 2021, what would you do to change on the cars or change on the sport to make it more friendly for someone to be able to work hard to make it where they're going? It's a hard question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do you want to make it like the old days where you stop putting all this computer work in and make it simpler?
Yeah, but you can't.
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go backwards.
Yeah. Once it's there, it's there.
Because if you try to go backwards, somebody tries to figure out how to get around it and still go forward.
Yeah, that's our blessing and our curse in this sport.
It's,
and it's tough because you go to like we go to Snowball Derby. You have the super late models when we go to Snowball Derby with LaJoy and try to do it the right way, going in a
Yeah.
gooseneck trailer and
Yeah.
not doing all the crazy stuff, it's still 23 grand to even go there by the time you do tires, entry
Can you
fees.
do 23 grand?
He did that's the cheapest they did. It was 23,000, and
Yeah.
that's like me and buddies changing tires, not having to pay for a pit crew, so that
Yeah,
probably takes
yeah.
5 grand off the top, and the tires and the practice, and you got to be down there for 5 days.
I know.
And then the one year it rained, so you had to stay another 2 days.
We keep
So-
wanting to do the snowball derby, and it's, a lot of people told me, says, if you don't have 40 grand,
Yeah,
which I mean, yeah, you can do it on a shoestring deal, but are
It's
you
not
going to go
worth
out
doing.
there and be able to dominate the race? No.
it's like if you're going to spend 25 to do it on your own budget and run
Yeah.
10th, you might as well find an extra 15 to get 40 or 50 grand or whatever to go drive for Kyle
Yeah.
and have a shot at winning it and just show
Oh,
up
yeah.
with your bag.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch is coming with cup cars whether you bring money or not. So it's
I changed tires for Kyle's car last year there, and
Okay.
just to compare to what we did with Corey the last couple of years. And then I just flew down there to change tires for them for Raphael Zard. We almost
Yeah,
won a race,
yeah.
and I was like, Corey's like, "What was that like?" I said, "I don't know how we competed, because we run top 5 at Corey." I'm like, "I don't know
Yeah.
how we even competed," but yeah, that's
Yeah, it's like, I mean, we're doing the same thing with Super Late Model. I mean, most of the time, it's just me and my son, and, my wife will do whatever we got to do, and then we'll get a crew chief. And then
Yeah.
we'll find maybe somebody can come. I mean, the guy that's helping us this weekend, I mean, he's been to the racetrack a couple times, but never, I mean, he can do about anything.
yeah,
Not car-wise, but, carpenter-wise and
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, he's a great person, but again, being able to do all that, it's just, it's so hard to try to compete against those. But how do you change it?
yeah, that's the hard part. Even
No.
even in super stuff with the shocks and
Oh.
and how all that stuff that you have to, the shocks, the motors, and now they're
Yeah.
changing motor rules and
Yep.
just the I don't know what chassis you guys have, but
A Hamke.
the bump stop stuff you get
Yep.
into,
Yep.
and it's
See now,
so far removed.
Jamie Rulo has been our crew chief. He used to do all Blaney stuff.
Mhm.
Jamie. So I've been involved with Jamie for a long time. Since when Jared first started driving Super Late Model, Jamie was crew chief. And when we first bought our car, we bought a lot of Blaney's stuff.
Yeah.
Jamie was the shot guy at Blaney's. So he says, okay, we want this, want all these springs. So I bought it all, And so that got us started in the Super Late Model. And then Jamie worked with Jared, and he just kept saying, he said the kid's got a lot of talent. We just need to get him up on the wheel a little harder. Well, he was 12 years old. It's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
well, how do you do that? But and it was fine. And so Jamie had been a part of Jared's career for up till about 2 years ago, and then Jamie moved back up north. So he's just been able to come every once in a while, and and we tried some different crew chiefs, and it ends up that we end up, it's like, oh man, we're broke. We by the time we afford a crew chief, we afford this, there's no way we can do it. And it's kind of hard to make it one race, let alone 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So Jamie works with us really good. He's flying down tomorrow or the next day. Then we're supposed to have the car pretty much like he knows it and what's it. And he was there before we went to Richmond.
Yeah.
So he went completely over the car. So he's changed a lot of stuff that had been broke, bent, fixed,
Yeah.
like he wants it. So all that stuff's right now. So now it's a matter of, if we didn't have no problems, it's a matter of maintenance and all that stuff. And so hopefully we'll be able to go to Martinsville or go to Hickory and be able to run decent. And
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of good cars there. And
It's a big race.
yeah, Bubba Pollard's there. And
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of good guys are there.
He won a
uh,
dang dirt race this week, Bubba
yeah, he
Pollard.
did.
He's
It
bad.
was his first time in a dirt car.
He's a wheel man, dude.
Oh, he
We
is.
need to get him out here sometime.
He's a really cool guy though too.
Yeah, we were
Really
supposed to
is.
paint a helmet for him a couple of years ago, and it just never worked
Yeah.
out because he's too much of a racer. He don't care about how he looks.
He don't-
He just wants to run. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard to cater to those guys who you don't. I don't know. Their time here is like, yeah, whatever, So
It's just like when I was racing all the time. Jason Beam started painting our helmets.
yep.
And it's like, I didn't know. I didn't really care what the helmet looked like. I didn't have to look at it.
Yeah.
And so, and I can't remember how it all come about. How Jason painted a helmet for us. I don't know. But it was even when I was driving for Robert.
Mhm.
But Jason had, I think Jason had contacted us or something, said I want to paint a helmet and this and that. And so, but yeah, I think Jason, he was the only guy that painted our helmets when I was racing. But I was his first one that had Jason's helmet.
Really, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's cool. That's a
I'm
question
pretty
I was going to
sure.
ask you
Yeah.
actually, is
I'm pretty sure.
who
Yeah.
did it back then.
Yeah.
You got any like favorite ones you still got, or just
We, really originally wasn't.
it's not like how it is
technical.
now.
It's not like it is now. Nowadays they make really neat stuff.
Yeah.
Jason does. I see you do. Before it was kind of like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a helmet.
Paint it yellow and throw a sticker on it.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. So, even like some of the M&M's helmets, they got to be a lot nicer than they used to be.
Mhm.
But it's just, I had Jason paint one of Jared's helmets,
Oh, that's cool.
but that's been a long time ago. It was the first quarter midget race. One of his first.
Oh, so a
Quarter midget
while.
helmets.
Yeah, a while back.
Oh
again,
yeah, yeah. So, I've talked to Jason a couple times since. That's about it.
Tell me to send one out there, or just us. We're right here. It's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
No big deal. I got one more question because Daryl's gonna yell at us because we go over time every week. This is completely non-racing, racing related. It's a write-in question. I heard that you visited the White House once for racing, or just. Is this true?
I did what?
You visited the White House.
Yeah.
And then somehow a set of silverware went missing from the White House. Is this also true?
I'm really for sure.
Yeah. No, you don't have it on yet.
I hadn't been handcuffed for lately.
Plead the fifth.
Yeah, it was. When I won the 500,
Mm-hmm.
they invited us up for a state dinner at the White House. So I'm a redneck. I'm going to the White House for a state dinner. I thought it was a steak.
Yeah,
No, it was a state dinner.
state dinner.
Yeah. See, so I was wondering if I wanted my steak medium rare. They never asked me. I don't know what the deal was. So we go up there, and it's just I never realized. I was a kid from California, had no idea about all this big dollar stuff.
Yeah.
I just loved racing. So win the 500 and get invited to the White House. Oh man, it's pretty cool. Okay. So get all the stuff, go up there, and so it's like, man, they search you, they go through certain doors, and and so then they said, okay, well, you're going to be seated with Terry Garr. She's an actress. Okay. Well, but they had told me this ahead of time, so we looked her up, found out a little bit more about her. Those days you couldn't look her up as good as you can now.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no
Yeah.
Google then, right?
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
not as much Google stuff. But yeah, so we kind of known a little bit. Well, so they sit me down at the table, and Terry's sitting there, and so we start talking, and she said, I wonder if you have to go through the metal detectors on the way out. I said, well, why would you think about going through a metal detector on the way out? She goes, can you imagine if you had a set of silverware from the White House?
Yeah.
She goes, that would be so awesome. No, I went, well, yeah, that would really be cool.
Yeah.
She goes, hey, here's the plan. you take some silverware and put it in your pocket, and put it in your coat pocket or whatever, and then when you walk out, if you see a metal detector, turn around. Otherwise, you go out, and then I'll know, and I'll get another.
You were the guinea pig. You were the
I was the guinea pig.
Yeah. Wow.
She goes, then I'll know, so then I'll get a couple more sets.
Yeah.
And she goes, because if there's a metal detector, it'll start beeping or something.
Yeah.
So I'll know not to go. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So moral of the story, there's no metal detector on the way out, just on the way in.
I'm sure there is now, but
Well, who knows?
back in the day.
I don't know if there is. I mean, because I don't think it's kind of just like our getting into the car at Daytona.
Yeah.
Nobody really knew about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I run my mouth and tell people.
That's okay.
We're asking
So-
too many questions
I
here.
know,
I think.
yeah,
I
he's
think
never
we're
gonna come back.
Yeah.
That would be pretty good though, just to sit down with your own steak dinner at home, and
Yeah.
just know you're eating with the White House silverware. That'd be nice.
I always thought that'd be cool,
That
man.
is
It's
pretty cool.
Gosh, I can't believe I didn't do it.
Yeah, that's a bummer that you didn't. Oh man.
I don't think they'll invite me no more.
No? Why
yeah,
not?
I don't know.
You can go
well,
back.
I'm at least a Donald Trump fan, so.
Oh
Frank
yeah.
has artwork in the White House.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
sent a helmet there last year, so that was pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Martin Truex gave it.
Yeah.
Year
Oh, that's
before.
right.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
pretty cool deal for me. So
Yeah.
I didn't get to go, but one of my helmets did. That's pretty cool that you came here in your truck, and you made it all the way to the White House and meet all these people, and the way your career went.
Yeah.
And it's very inspiring for us that we're still young in it and trying to make our own path. So
Whoa. So now you just insinuated that I'm old.
I said younger.
And you're still young.
Younger.
I didn't.
We're still in it.
I
We're not retired, living it up with horses yet. So
Oh, yeah.
But I would like
so
to
you're
make
still living it up.
I would like to make it to that point.
Man, I'd say one thing. Everybody that I asked, in closing, and I hate to bring this up, but everybody that I asked, hey man, I'm interviewing Ernie Irvan this week. What would you want me to ask him? And they say, ask him about when his house caught fire. So I looked that up, and I saw that you lost all your trophies in that. And NASCAR made replicas. Did they make all of them and gave them to you?
They gave us, and this was NASCAR and all the teams that I drove for. They all went together, and I don't know who paid for them, not paid for them, or what. But every trophy got replaced except for the Martinsville trophy.
The clock.
Yeah. No.
Oh, it wasn't the clock?
No. See, that was the thing. See, they didn't replace the clock, and they didn't replace the actual trophy. The trophy was a die-cast car in a little like case that was a trophy. So it really wasn't much. And the clock, actually, they didn't have to replace it because it was in somebody else's, my buddy's house.
Okay. Oh.
So
Hey.
So
it
it
didn't burn.
survived, Yeah.
So, yeah, we were upset that, Martinsville's the only one that didn't replace anything. Everybody else did. But again, I was still had the clock. The trophy, I still got pieces of it, and it's like, so I can take my own die cast and do something with it. But the clock was the whole thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's still that's cool that they were, because that's stuff that that's one of the first things you think about when they say a racer's house burnt down. Especially
Yeah.
someone as successful as you. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, you can get a lot of things back through,
Yep.
but there's.
Yep.
So yeah, that I'm to everybody that I asked about, except Randy LaJoy. Randy said, ask him about when I drove for him. Ask about when I drove for him. I run like 15th in that thing, but everybody
That's
that I
right.
talked to,
He ran, I think at Texas with the Federated Auto Parts car. That's it. Yep.
yeah. So that's what he said.
That's funny.
I said, ask him about me. I'm like, damn, okay, Randy, but yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody,
You really want to know about Randy?
no.
No, I think you probably already
We
know.
got we got
We have
PG
enough.
rated here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Randy.
cool, man. I appreciate you coming in. Good
Yeah.
luck in Hickory
Yeah,
this
good luck
weekend.
this weekend.
That's gonna be
Okay.
cool. I'll try to make it up there, but we're working 7 days a week here. It's crazy. Too many
You
helmets.
gotta go up and get some more helmet work.
Right now, I don't need any more helmets. I'm full up. I got helmets up to my eyeballs in here. So
Cool. Well, yeah, we'll be watching this weekend, man. We're cheering for you guys, and we'll have to come to a horse show sooner or later. He needs to paint some. He's painting some equestrian helmets in here.
Yeah, I'll go down to Bubba Raceway Park down in Ocala.
That's
Yeah.
that's probably 7 miles from my house.
Let's
Really?
go. I can go.
See, I go to the Ocala Grand Prix,
Mm-hmm.
which is the go-kart place.
Yeah.
So I go down there, and I've been trying to get fast enough to go race, you know, and I actually my kart's pretty fast, and the problem is my kid can get in it and run a second faster than me, and
Oh.
I'm like, man, that's not right. But it only weighs 120 pounds,
Yeah, that's a big
So-
thing to do with it.
so that's a big deal. So again, I was going this last weekend, I was going to go run. So I went on Thursday because Friday there was going to be open practice. So I said, okay, I'll go Thursday just to get acquainted with the track, the direction they're going, and all that stuff. So I said, okay. So I went out. I mean, nobody would tell us what speeds you need to run. So okay, so I ran like about a 40, 50, and so it's like so then we go back out the next day, and I'm thinking we're all right. So we go there and we get there late because it was hot, and so it's like okay, well, so that way we don't have to sit out in the sun all day. Let's go. They close at 7:30. We'll get there at 5, make a couple runs. Well, it ends up that by the time we get there, and we were right at 5, then my class was going on the track right then. Okay, so then it was another hour before we went out again.
Yeah.
So we finally get it. So I go out and get to. I practiced one practice session, and my kid's like, "Man, you suck." I said, "Man, I'm sitting there watching you on the corner. Why didn't you copy the guy that was right in front of you that just drove off from you?" And I said, "I was trying to see everything everybody was doing. And he goes, "You ran like a 40-50, and you need to run 38-50." And I went, "Well, I mean, if I suck that bad, I'm not doing it." So he said, "Nope, I think you just need to practice more."
That's
So
tough.
so then I go out there the next day. We didn't going to run, so I went out for the race, and but see, everybody that was out there with me they have masters, which is what I was in, and then they have seniors, which is 16 and above, and then you had shifter carts. So we
Yeah.
had a lot of carts out there all at the same time, and we're the slowest.
So you got tag cart, pretty much. Is that what it is?
Well,
Rotex?
it came from GoPro,
Okay, yeah.
but it was an aero cart.
Yeah.
Yeah, tag cart is what
Tag,
they
yeah.
call them. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so I mean, how do you even compare yourself? Well, so I found out that when I went out there the next day, they only had 4 in my class, 4 or 6, which would have been perfect. And then the fastest time that was running in my class was a 40 or a 39.60. Well, I had run the day before with just front tires on and used rear ones. I had run a 40.50.
Jared
So
led
it's
you the
like-
wrong way.
Jared. So. Yeah.
Well, at least Jared holds you accountable, because if you were there racing with me and I saw your lap times, I would not be going up to you telling you what you were doing wrong. I say, that's Ernie Irvan with 17 cup wins. I am not telling him what he's doing wrong. So at least
Yeah.
your son can hold you accountable.
Yeah. The problem is he said I'll get in the thing and I'll go way faster than you. Okay, let's add all the weight.
Yep.
Yeah, they never want
That's
to do
a
that.
hey.
They never
Nope.
want to do that part.
No, he
No.
don't want to do that.
We have
he
a
won't.
big argument with that. We have the off-axis 500, and all these little kids that weigh 100 pounds, ooh, they
Yeah.
go out there and cut a lap. They're second fashion, and they put 80 pounds on, and now they're complaining that their cart sucks.
Yeah.
Weird, huh? Weird how that works.
Yeah, it's yeah. That racetrack out here at GoPro, man, it's complicated.
Yeah, it's a nice place too, isn't it?
The one down in Ocala is kind of like that. It's not. They don't have a whole pit stalls and stuff like that.
Garages.
But what they have is they rent spots to you,
Mm-hmm.
so if you can just keep your truck out there or car
That's
out
nice.
there.
Just leave it there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we need to go down. now we got a place to go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like I said, I'm 7 miles from the place.
Let's go. I'm
Yeah.
down. All right, bud. Well, I appreciate you coming in again,
Okay.
man. It's been
Yeah.
fun talking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been good.